Let's get into the defense because for Nebraska, that has been the story. And, they continue to tackle at a high level. They force turnovers at a high level this past week, as high of a level as we've seen all season. The pass rush guys are coming. The young players are playing well. I mean, it's all coming together here in this final month for Tony White.
How many yards did Purdue get? 195?
First time all year they've been held under 200 yards.
Okay, they got 195, and Matt Rule went in front of the media yesterday and said it wasn't as good as we thought. That's got to be motivational. I mean, come on. You held them to 195. There couldn't have been too much wrong in that game, right? Which I appreciate him doing this because you got to keep the guys motivated. I mean, tell them that it wasn't good enough and then hold Michigan State to 175, So, they're playing really well. It goes without saying. I mean, they're number 5 in the country in rush defense. They're number 13th overall total defense. 5 rushing defense, number 13 in total defense. This is what we've been begging for years, man. I mean, think about going back to the Riley era when they were allowing 4.9 yards per carry. No, let me stop. It got over 5. They're allowing 5+ yards a carry. Now they're allowing 2.7 in that area. So this is what you wanted, and here it is.
Yeah, I mean, the whole message basically since the beginning of the year is we need to become a defensive team. Well, they are that and then some with the way that they're playing right now. And I think what Rule was talking about probably had more to do with some of the plays that the wind especially impacted on Purdue. Yeah. Like Tommy Hill's interception. Rule basically made it out that he got beat. And the wind killed it, and Tommy was able to catch up and make the pick. And then there was another play going the other direction where they overthrew a guy that was wide open down the sideline. I can't remember if he beat Newsome or who it was, but Purdue missed some plays. I think that's what – so it's motivational, but I think it's also kind of a reality check that, you guys were really good, but, if that wind's not there, it's maybe a different story. So I think that's kind of what you got to do when a group's playing this well. You can't let them get comfortable.
I was surprised that Purdue was even taking shots down the field in that wind when they were throwing into the wind.
A whole bunch of shots.
Like, that's just not even knowing the stadium you're in.
They threw it 11 times into the wind.
You could have Josh Allen and have a hard time making those throws because I mean, they were beat and the ball knocked down 10 yards.
Yeah, I think they threw it 11 times was it the second quarter they were going into the wind? They threw it 11 times in the second quarter. Very odd way to do it, Graham Harrell.
Did you hear Ed Foley say about the wind in the stadium and Brian Buschini today? Ed Foley said when the ball gets above the crossbars, the wind really changes.
It's a complicated wind pattern in that stadium. It really is. Bill Bush talked about it all the time. It's almost like a study. I mean, opponents won't understand it. It does give Nebraska an advantage. It does.
A former punter here, Grant Schumacher, told me that there was a study done that it's the windiest and hardest stadium in all of football to kick in.
Really?
Because I think it's because the way the wind changes directions. Yeah, it swirls within the stadium. It comes and so you can't just say, well, the wind's going east or it's going west. Like could go east, and then as you're kicking it shifts and starts going southwest.
Now, when the new construction gets done and they build the south up, what will that do to the wind?
I don't know.
Because will that block that warm south wind that comes in on those warm days? But on a cold day, you saw a north wind like we saw Saturday. So it is tricky. And Buschini said during pregame, the opposing punters, especially Saturday, come up to him and was like, man, is it always this hard and windy to kick in the stadium? He's like, yep.
Yeah, a lot of times it is.
So it is definitely something to
physics,
watch.
Sean. You got to know your physics.
Okay, something to watch this week as we continue defensive storylines. Marques Buford. Will we see him make his 2023 debut after going down a year ago? I believe it was in the Michigan game a year ago. He went down with that injury.
It was Wisconsin.
Wisconsin game. Okay, Wisconsin game a year ago. Will we see Buford back out there for the Huskers on Saturday?
It's no small development. I mean, he's a starter. Now, I don't know if he'd be a starter right away, but he's one of their very best defenders. Definitely one of their best players in the secondary. Has a ton of starting experience and is good. He's a dude. I mean, he's a program guy, and he's valuable. I mean, that would be a valuable addition. And when you're adding guys like that late, it can be really valuable.
Absolutely. I think Rule kind of pumped the brakes on that a little bit, saying that he's practicing. He got first team reps last week, even with the defense, but every day afterwards he was really sore.
Yeah.
So I think that the goal for this week is, can he put together consecutive days without feeling it as much as he did the day after, and being able to stay healthy consistently over multiple days of action.
Yeah, and when he's healthy though, he is their best DB.
Yeah,
I mean, there's no doubt. I mean,
best safety for sure.
Like, imagine a healthy him and a healthy Singleton and Omar. I mean, all of a sudden, if they get all these guys back and they get Billy Kemp back,
they could get. You guys have mentioned Singleton.
Yeah, I think he's close.
Yeah. Really? He wasn't ruled out for the year. They left that door open.
Whew.
So they could get him back. They can get Buford. Kemp. You wonder if Kemp can be back by Wisconsin.
That'd be big. God, this is going to get interesting, fellas.
And as the stakes rise, all of a sudden, if they're in the West race,
they're in the West race.
If they can if they win the next 2 weeks, all of a sudden you get Kemp back at Wisconsin. That makes a big difference.
Yeah, they're in it. I mean, there's pressure though. Now there is pressure to win. There really is. Rob, you were kind of right.
But the depth that they're playing with on defense is the key, because we've seen defenses with good players at Nebraska, but they would have to play like Garrett Nelson 80 snaps. Or, I mean, Colton Feast played like 70 snaps in Ireland.
More depth right now.
I mean, they're not having to do that. Well, nobody other than the DBs, and DBs universally always play a lot of snaps, but your front seven guys are the heavier guys, and they're rotating those guys out at as good of a rotational pace. And Robin and I do the snap counts every week that we've ever seen since we've been doing the snap counts.
Really? That you've ever seen?
Yeah, especially on the defensive line. Like, the number of bodies, they're still playing. Like, early in the year, you can kind of get, but even they've carried it on through the 8 games already, and they're playing a significant rotation up front. And they've kind of pared it down a little bit more on the back end, I think, just kind of by numbers with the secondary. But here's the other part of it. They're not just rotating a lot more. They're playing less snaps because of the way the offense is playing. They're shortening the game. And so under Scott Frost and that offense, the defense was out there for 80-plus snaps some games. Now they're playing 60. That makes a difference when you're playing 20 less snaps per game over the course of a season and rotating at that level. These guys, the frontline guys, are probably as fresh as Nebraska defense has been in a long time.
It almost feels like they have a head coach with a grand plan, right?
What?
Yeah, odd. Like a head coach.
Are you allowed to do that?
Formulated an identity for his program, actually enacting it. Huh. I'll be damned.
In an identity that doesn't necessarily fit the agenda of what he wants it to do. He's doing it to make it work.
I mean, he wants to run it, Sean.
Okay, but I think this offense will evolve.
Yeah.
But he knows where they're at.
But I think that even as it evolves, he wants to be a body blow offense. Pound, recruit big running backs, pound it. I don't think he'll stray too much from that. More play action, probably less option going forward, right?
I throw the ball more than 11 times in a game.
Yeah. Now that was a lot because they got up 21-0 earlier in the third. So you sit on it at that point, largely, right? It was early in the third. They're up 21-0.